Penzig. I'm a member of Clan Yamakaminati, which means Mountain Lightning God. And as is common among various clans in small villages, we parade around our tutelary god in the holy image in a parade around Penzig. However, our tutelary image is in the form of an octopus. Now, how does a mountain lightning god come to be associated with an octopus? Thereby hangs a tale, which I shall now share with you. As many supernatural and wonderful tales of Japan do, this one involves the Yoshitsune Fujiwara, who is a great warrior of the 12th century civil war in Japan, and also the hero of many legendary stories. Yoshitsune was known to have raised by Tengu, who taught him his sword play, and was gifted a magic flute, and traveled to the various islands where, among other things, he met the great Dragon King who lives under the sea. Well, as it happens, one afternoon, while Yoshitsune was sparring with the great Tengu, Tengu takes the form of a large crow, or in the case of the great Tengu, of a man with a large red nose, and better to use a sword that way. And they were sparring and fighting, and the clouds were going up above, and there was lightning flashes from cloud to cloud, but it was heat lightning. There was no actual thunder. And as they were doing this, one of the lesser Tengu, in crow form, came around and said, "My lord, Master Tengu, my lord Yoshitsune, I have a message for Yoshitsune from," he pointed upwards, "Yamakaminati, the mountain lightning god." And Yoshitsune bowed to the Master Tengu, who issued him out to do what is the bidding of the Yamakaminati, and he followed the small Tengu around up to the top of the mountain, where around from the peak came this, what looked like a roly-poly 10-year-old boy with a glowing nimbus in his hair. Said, "Ah, Yoshitsune, just the one I wanted to see." And Yoshitsune bowed low to him. "Yamakaminati, how may I help your lordship?" "Well, you may have noticed the lightning up above. Here, let me give you a demonstration." And he pulled out one of his lightning spears, chucked it into the sky, where it flashed and sparkled, and rivulets of fire came down. What did you think of that? Quite magnificent. And the sound? Your lordship, there was no thunder. Exactly! Someone has stolen my thunderball. What is a mountain lightning god without his thunder? You must find my thunder. It's in the form of a large ball. A rock. Very good. I shall get right on it. And Yoshitsune went this way around the mountain and that way down the mountain until he saw, over in the distance, an oni, 10-foot tall, horns from the top of his head curling around, the tusk coming out, orange in skin, and holding in one hand a tetsubo, an iron staff, and in the other a glowing stone with the same nimbus as had been around the mountain lightning god. "Stop!" cried Yoshitsune, and ran over after the oni with his katana drawn. The oni said, "Ah, think you can beat me, huh? and he took his tetsubo and struck at Yoshitsune. But Yoshitsune had been trained by Tengu, and he ducked that way, dodged the other way, struck the tetsubo, and it went flying off. Oni thought, okay, I don't need this. And he grabbed both arms around the thunderstone and went down the mountain faster than Yoshitsune could follow. Well, Yoshitsune went after him in the correct direction, and well, he came across a tanuki. Now, a tanuki, also known as a raccoon dog, is a small animal, something like a badger, that was about as roly-poly as the mountain lightning god. He was lying on his back and using two sticks to pat his stomach in an intricate drum tattoo. Yoshitsune pulled out his wondrous flute and played upon it a melody that was a counterpoint to the drum of the tanuki was beating on his belly. The tanuki slowed down. Yoshitsune slowed down. The tanuki sped up. Yoshitsune sped up his music, and they reached a conclusion. And the tanuki stood on two legs, bowed to Yoshitsune. Yoshitsune bowed to him and said, "Excuse me, Master Tanuki, have you by any chance seen a large oni about yay big and carrying a stone about this big around coming down the mountain?" "Oh, yeah, it went that way towards the river," said the tanuki. Yoshitsune thanked him, went striding down the mountain towards the river. Now, the lowlands in the river formed a swamp, and as Yoshitsune came to that, he saw that there were small figures somewhere in the swamp, and also a large cow that was being pulled by one of the small figures. Well, he knew what this could only be. That had to be a kappa. Now, kappa is a small figure, about knee-high, maybe a little more, that lives in the swamp and has enormous strength, so long as the kappa keeps a bit of swamp water in the hollow of the top of his head. There's nothing that the kappa likes so much as to pull a cow into the swamp and drown it and have beef for a long time. Except, there is actually one thing that a kappa does like better than drowned cow. That is cucumber. Yoshitsune saw the kappa pulling on the cow, and out of the sleeve pulled a huge, juicy cucumber. Went and laid it down at the feet of the kappa. The kappa didn't kneel. Went like this so it wouldn't spill the water out of the saucer of its head. Picked up the cucumber. It was so delicious. And he nodded carefully to Yoshitsune. "Oh, thank you for the cucumber. Master Kappa, did you by any chance see an oni perhaps prancing through your private swamp somewhere carrying a large stone?" "Oh, yes, he went that way towards the seashore." And Yoshitsune went all the way down the mountain to the seashore, where he saw the oni, and the oni saw him. The oni looked, opened up his throat as wide as he could, swallowed the thunderstone all the way down, looked between his legs, and laughed at Yoshitsune, bounded into the ocean. Yoshitsune went to the ocean. Well, he wasn't going to use his katana in the water. That would ruin his katana. Besides, you can't really swing a sword in the water. Put it by his side, knelt down, and intoned, "Oh, Dragon King, you have helped me before. Could you help me once more?" And lo, coming out of the ocean was his head as large as a horse, on a neck as long as 6 horses, and a body that could not even be seen stayed below the surface. Oh, Yoshitsune, you come again to my realm. How can I help you? Dragon King Yamakaminari, the mountain lightning god, has lost his thunderstone to an awful Oni who has jumped into the ocean. Can you help me? Oh, I have just the servant that will do for me. You may use the magic that allows you to breathe and move in the ocean and enter my realm. Yoshitsune went into the ocean, and there in the distance he was able to see first the Oni, and then beyond the Oni was a large octopus, which came towards the Oni while Yoshitsune approached the Oni from behind. The octopus let out ink which surrounded the Oni, who didn't know what to do or where to go, and the octopus used the inattention of the Oni to wrap two of its tentacles around the Oni's legs, two tentacles around the Oni's arms, and use the other four tentacles to squeeze it around the middle until out popped the thunderstone right into Yoshitsune's hands. Then turned around, swam back to the ocean, shore, made his way past the kappa, past the tanuki still beating his belly, up to where the tengu were attending the Yamakaminari, and he laid the thunderstone at the mountain god's feet. Oh, thank you, Yoshitsune. You have indeed helped me. Yoshitsune said, it was not I that did it. It was the octopus that saved your thunderstone. And that is why the Yamakaminari clan has an octopus as the tutelary image of the god.